My mother-in-law destroyed my marriage, and I never saw it coming. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and I need to tell you what happened to me. Because honestly, I'm still processing all of this. It started 3 years ago when I married Jake. Perfect wedding, perfect husband, perfect life or so, I thought. His mum, Linda, seemed so sweet during our dating phase. She'd bake cookies, ask about my job, even helped plan our wedding. But the moment I said I do, something switched, like a complete personality flip. Here's what I should have noticed earlier. Jake still called her Mama at 32 years old. She had his emergency contact info at work. She knew his bank account balance better than I did. The first red flag? She kept Jake's spare key. "Just in case of emergencies, honey," she said with that fake smile. I thought it was normal. I mean, she's his mother, right? But then she started showing up, unannounced, every single day. "Oh, I was just in the neighborhood," she'd say, walking straight into our kitchen as if the lease were in her name. Jake always defended her. "She's just being helpful, babe. She loves us." But guys, love isn't surveillance. She'd rearrange my furniture when I wasn't home. She'd throw away my groceries and replace them with better brands. She even redecorated our bedroom while we were at work. Our bedroom, who does that? Then came the pregnancy. When I told Jake we were expecting, he was over the moon. But Linda? She went silent for a full minute, then said, "Are you sure you're ready for this responsibility, Sarah?" The way she said my name, like it tasted bitter in her mouth. That's when the real psychological warfare began. She'd call Jake at work, crying about how I was keeping him away from family. She'd show up with his favorite meals, making comments like, "I bet you miss home-cooked food, honey," right in front of me, as if my cooking wasn't good enough. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. I started feeling sick during my second trimester, not normal pregnancy stuff, but really sick. Dizzy spells, nausea that wouldn't quit, exhaustion that felt abnormal. I mentioned it to Linda during one of her surprise visits, and she just nodded sympathetically. "Pregnancy can be so hard, dear. You just need to rest more." Jake was working overtime to save for the baby, so Linda offered to help around the house. Red flag number? I'd lost count at this point, but I was so tired, so sick, that I said yes. She'd come over, make me tea, tidy up, act like the perfect mother-in-law. One afternoon, I came home early from a doctor's appointment. They wanted to run more tests because my symptoms were getting worse. I walked into my kitchen and found Linda at my stove, stirring something into a pot of soup. The soup smelled faintly metallic. Linda's ladle paused when I walked in. "Oh, Sarah, you're home early. I was just adding some extra seasoning to your soup." Her reaction felt wrong. Either I was paranoid or something was off. That night, I pretended to eat the soup, but secretly threw it away. For the first time in weeks, I slept through the night without feeling sick. The next day, I set up a hidden camera in my kitchen. I know it sounds drastic, but you have to understand I was losing my mind thinking I was just being paranoid. What I discovered still gives me chills. The footage was grainy but clear enough. A bottle, a pill crusher, a slow stir. Linda was crushing up some kind of supplement and stirring it into my food and drinks. Later, I found out it was high-dose iron supplements that made me violently ill. Not poison iron. Enough to make me sick. Enough to make me doubt myself. But wait, it gets worse. Way worse. I confronted her with the video evidence, expecting an apology, an explanation, something, anything, human. Instead, she smiled, actually smiled, and said, "You were never good enough for my son. I was hoping you'd leave on your own, but you're more stubborn than I thought." My hands were shaking as I called Jake. But when he came home, and I showed him the video. His reaction broke me more than his mother's betrayal. Jake watched the video of his mother literally making his pregnant wife sick, and his first words were, "Mom, you could have hurt the baby." Not, "How could you hurt my wife?" Not, "This is unacceptable." His first concern was that she might have been careless enough to hurt his heir. That was the moment my marriage ended. That night, Linda called Jake crying, saying I was trying to tear the family apart and that she was just trying to help with my pregnancy cravings. Jake actually asked me to try couples therapy with his mother as the third rail of our communication issues. I packed at midnight, 7 months pregnant, and left. The man I married was so brainwashed by his mother that he couldn't see she was systematically making me sick. Here's the part that still keeps me up at night. 2 weeks after I left, Linda showed up at my sister's apartment with Jake. She had the audacity to bring me homemade cookies and ask if we could start over. Jake stood behind her, nodding like a trained puppy. I told them both to leave and never contact me again. But Linda looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You'll be back. You can't raise that baby without us." I locked the elevator and chose not to be. I gave birth to my beautiful daughter Emma 3 months ago. Jake signed away his parental rights after Linda convinced him that I was too unstable to co-parent effectively. She literally chose his mother over his own child. But here's what really messes with my head. I still catch myself wondering if I overreacted. Was she really trying to make me sick? Or was she just being overly helpful and made mistakes? My therapist says this is normal for abuse survivors. We gaslight ourselves because the alternative is accepting that someone we trusted wanted to hurt us. The scariest part? Linda still drives by my sister's house. She sends cards addressed to Grandma's little angel. She's told people in Jake's family that I'm keeping her grandchild from her, painting herself as the victim. I consulted with a lawyer about documentation for potential restraining orders. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't trusted my instincts that day. Would she have kept making me sick throughout my pregnancy? What if something had happened to Emma? I'm sharing this because I want every woman out there to trust her gut. If something feels wrong, it probably island. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking you're being dramatic or oversensitive. Your mental health, your physical safety, and your children's well-being are more important than keeping the peace with toxic family members. So tell me honestly, was I right to leave? Would you have stayed and tried to make it work? Because some days, I still question if I made the right choice, and I could really use your perspective. If you're going through something similar, please know that you're not crazy, you're not overreacting, and you deserve better. Maybe your story will help me realize I'm not alone in this.